here we go again. This is the third time we visited these logos, hopefully the last. Follow along as we finally put the last logo mystery to bed and put a name to the Nordiques logo designer, for English speakers at least. The Quebec Nordiques. What else is there to say? This team, despite all of its shortcomings and relocation in 1995, still has a huge fan base. You'd think, wow, that's amazing. With so many loyal and passionate fans, the NHL surely wants to go back into that market. Yeah, you'd be wrong. With Bettman at the helm, the Nordiques aren't expected to return to Quebec City no matter what he says. He knows that the fans will still buy the merch and eat up any little crumb they throw at Quebec. So why do they need a team for the league to profit off the Nordiques? Well, we hope we're wrong, but only time will tell. Comment down below how we're reading the situation completely incorrectly, and the Nordiques will certainly return. Maybe the most enduring thing about the Nordiques to their fans is the team's logo. You either love it or you hate it. Personally, I'm a fan, but then again, I like the Oilers logo, which hasn't changed since the 70s, so I'm clearly no graphic design connoisseur. The logo itself is a red igloo, whose right side has been cut off by a hockey stick juggling a puck. The shape vaguely resembles the very appropriate N for the first letter of the team's name. It's obvious once pointed out, but let me tell you, as a kid in the 90s, we had no idea what this was. We've heard it looks like an elephant, we've heard it looks like a kneeled over hockey player aggressively checking his stick curve, basically anything but the N it supposedly represents. If you're saying to yourself, that isn't what an uppercase N looks like, yeah, you're right. And we'll get to the design explanation later. We would be remiss if we didn't mention that this is almost exclusively an English-based mystery. If you parlez français, you can find out who designed the logo after a little bit of searching. Heck, the French Wikipedia page has it right on it. But the trivia book that they cite is unobtainable and unreadable as far as we can find, and it came out in 1989. What the hell good is that for proof? Thankfully, after brushing up on our French, we found a source that is trustworthy, and now we present the backstory of the Nordiques name and logo. The World Hockey Association was looking for a team to compete with the Montreal Canadiens, so Quebec City was a no-brainer. Despite some hiccups with funding and team management, thanks to a loan from Bill Hunter, the Quebec WHA team was officially added to the standings for the league's East Division after the San Francisco Sharks folded. A contest would be put out to name the team and design the logo that would represent the essence of Quebec City. From their own words, they wanted a name for the Canadians who live on the north shore of the St. Lawrence Seaway. On March 29, 1972, the Nordiques name and logo would be unveiled to the world. The name, meaning Nordics or Northerners, was pretty apt for Quebec City. I've personally been to their winter festival, and they sure seem to like the colder months over there. The Sportif de Quebec panel said the name represented vigor, energy, and force. Yeah, sure. Let's go with that. Out of 1,400 submissions, 475 of those being actually different, the finalists were pretty predictable. Some names related to the more junior leagues, such as the Ramparts, the Aces, or the Citadels. Quebec is a walled city, so the names were very apt. Some related to their locations in Canada, like the Laurentians, and others wanted to stick to the cold resilience with names like the Diamonds. Colors such as mauve were tossed about, but the classic French tricolore was an obvious decision. A little less obvious is that the tricolore also can stand for the blue and red lines on the white ice. I find that kind of clever. Then there is the famous logo. The original designer was a teenager named Roger Gingras, son of original Nordiques investor and stakeholder Roland Gingras. Nepotism still existed back then, apparently. Yes, that is supposed to be a capital N blended with a hockey stick and an igloo, but a teenager designed it, so the capital N just kind of got lost within the idea. During an interview with the National Film Board of Canada, Roger explained how he originally wanted blue, teal, and white as the team's colors. This would represent Quebec, but he was told to put in red. Red, white, and blue was familiar to Quebecers, see the Montreal Canadiens, and made the jerseys pop. I think the logo has become more famous for not looking anything like an igloo or an N, but it certainly has endured itself to most of the hockey crowd. Roger's name could be found on a few sites across the internet, but none were ever referenced or cited. Now, thanks to the archives of Quebec, we can confirm his inclusion is true. Despite what some sites say, there was never any other logo. No snowflake, no capital Q, just a weird elephant N, and no less than 8 fleur-de-lis. Oh, don't worry, they got a kickback from Tourism Quebec for adding each one of those. So, that's the end of the mystery. The Nordiques logo was designed by a teenager related to one of the owners, and it stayed that way up until their sale to Colorado in 1995. A lot of teams were redesigning their logos around that time, and the Nordiques hopped on the bandwagon. In a desperate play to appeal to extreme 90s kids, they changed the logo to a vicious bust of a husky with a snarl. That's right, it's a husky, not a wolf. Despite no official mention of a color change, the mock-ups we have show the red being replaced with teal, which, again, was Roger's idea from the start. I just wish he got official credit for it. There are musings that mauve would again be used in the jersey, but official color photos show that that wasn't the case. We couldn't find the name of the designer for the Husky logo, but since it was never actually worn, we don't count it. That can stay a mystery for someone else to solve. Here's an alternate jersey that a few college students presented to the Nordiques around the same time that the Husky logo was unveiled. Thanks for watching.